All righty. Good morning. Well, Craig, well, first, how about a word for the day? You got one for the day?
Word for the day. Yeah. Synthesis.
Good. That triggered growth for me. So growth. So synthesis and growth. And growth is growth from a learning, from an experience, from a from new.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Mona Lynn, how fantastic.
This is it's a combining. Oh wow, we got Mona. Good grief. Awesome. Hey Mona.
Hey Fred, how are you?
Really good today that you showed up.
That's great. I've had a migraine up until today for a week and 4 days.
Oh no. Hi Mona.
Hi.
I'm glad you're
How are you?
better.
It was an allergic reaction to a medication my doctor gave me.
Oh no.
But I found two.
Fun.
Oh yeah. I found 2 over-the-counter medications to help me work through it and get rid of it. So how are you doing today, Jesse?
I think Jesse went for his coffee.
Oh, okay. So how are you doing, Craig?
I don't know that he's going to respond to you.
That's okay.
Yeah, a lot is going on, but it's been very peaceful.
We can always stand some peace, can't we? With all the chaos in the world,
yes,
we can always stand some peace.
Yeah,
so
and actually, it's interesting that you bring that out because the environment has been productive, but it's like inside I'm on a desert island with beach all the way around. You know. Oh my, we got somebody else that's come in. It's Ian. Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. Good
How are
afternoon.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing much better than I have been.
I'm glad. Happy to hear.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm okay.
Doing a lot of
I can't-
learning.
Can
Doing
you
a
hear
lot of
Jesse? I can't
learning.
hear him. Oh, good. Can't hear you, Jesse.
Yeah, we were talking about mayhem in the environment and peace on the inside.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it makes you, all the mayhem makes you want to find that place where you find the peace.
Ah,
Yeah,
and Mona, it's like it shows the contrast, right? The difference. So you can be like, oh, I'm out of it. I'm out of peace.
yeah, it can for sure.
When we take a time out to realize it.
Yeah, and that,
Yeah.
and not only that, what can happen
We lose you, Mona? You in the car?
how did that happen?
Yeah, you weren't on mute.
We got you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine's
That's-
acting up too, so
And it's not hard for it to happen. Because it's like all these things want to pull at you, and you have to make choices about what's most important, what's the top priority. And things are always coming at you to take priority constantly.
and
There's
one
always,
of the
go ahead.
I think about that and it's like I remember like there was a time that was what I was always looking for, was the priority. And then what I started looking at was, where's the synchronicities to it all? How does that tie in with the other stuff, like the other things, the other priorities? Because there's always other priorities in the peripheral, on the sides, underneath. And when I then what it almost like allowed to do was kind of weave in and out of them all.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And I think that I've heard you and I've seen you come to that, especially even as you just speak of the priority. I know you're in there weaving them, connecting them in, tying them together.
And I notice patterns.
Yeah,
Yes.
beautiful, aren't they? Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah. I notice patterns all the time. I was thinking about that last night.
You don't know how good to hear that is.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I think it's one of those that I thought I was crazy talking about patterns.
No, you're not crazy. What shows up for me, speaking of patterns, is my dad. I am so impressed with how much he has grown and how much he has noticed and how much he has actually given credit to his kids for his growth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's your dad.
Yeah. And he's somewhat of a narcissist. He thinks he's always in control of everything, and he's not. And he's starting to learn when not to be in charge of something. he got, he helps people. He volunteers his services at the gym. And he's used to being in a corporate setting, and he never got away from behaving that way. And he got fired, quote unquote, from volunteering his help. And I was glad because he was taking everything personally. And I was hoping he would just let things kind of go a little bit so that the people he was helping could see where he was really helping at. Well, he did pretty good for him. And they let him come back and help because they started seeing where he really wasn't doing what they quote unquote thought he was doing wrong. And they let him come back and help. And the funny part was, this is what he noticed. And he gave me a backhanded compliment because one of the things that Chris talks about is those takeovers that happen. My dad used to do this, and so did I. He could handle any problem, but if something small or minor happened, he would do this takeover thing. He would react badly. I used to do that too. And this is what he told me one day. He goes, "You remember that takeover thing that you used to do?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "This lady at the gym does that, and she's 70 something years old." He says, "But I'm not going to address that with her." And I said, interesting that you noticed that. That was a backhanded compliment. He didn't realize he gave that to me.
Yep.
Which I was highly amused by.
I'm just glad you're aware of it and that you could take it, right?
Yeah. So I felt very proud of my father that he noticed.
Yes.
Because that was a huge step for him.
And your relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to tell you about it on top of that.
Yeah. So yeah, he's come a long
how old's
way.
your dad again? How old's your dad again?
He's 83 this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember 82. So yeah, it's like 82 can still change.
And if he can do it, anybody can do it. I'm
You
here to
never
tell
stop
you.
learning.
So Chris has affected a lot of people, and I'm really proud that I got into his program. I'm really proud that I learned how to be more observant with people, including myself, especially myself, be very much more aware of myself. Because when I start noticing things that come up for me, I have learned to step back and go, what is that about? Why is that showing up for me? And instead of responding or reacting to emotions immediately, I've learned to step back and ask myself, where is that coming from? And have a much better response to things that are showing up. And I've also learned that's not my stuff sometimes.
That sounds like a timeout.
Yeah, that's not my stuff. You shouldn't be reacting to that. You need to go take a break. That's precisely what that is, a timeout.
Yep.
You called it exactly what it is.
And why is it not so easy? It's simple, right? It's simple. It's like, oh, that if I'm listening to that on the outside, it's like, oh, that's too easy. That's so simple. Why isn't it?
Because we get caught up in our emotions. We have a thought and it turns into an emotion, and sometimes it moves faster than our common sense.
Would you define that as a pattern?
Yes.
Thank you. Me too.
Yes, I
too.
would.
So aware of those patterns, right? And most of the time, there's good patterns and harmful patterns.
I agree 100%.
All we're looking to do is improve and have more beneficial patterns and less of the harmful, hurtful, negative, destructive, limiting patterns. Just do less of those.
What's hard is when you're raised in an environment where you're in a family of pattern builders that are involved in the same types of patterns that are not healthy. And then you get around other people that have healthy patterns and they don't want nothing to do with you. You don't understand. And then you get patterns that have labels, and that doesn't help.
And I'm going to go, I know you're going specific with it. And if I zoom out a little bit, we'll call that family. Meaning like every family has their versions, their unique versions of it. Yeah, but then when we start to zoom in on the family and label those structures, such as narcissism, which is one that you mentioned earlier as one of those labels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The point is we all have them. We just uniquely different for them.
Yeah. I'll give an example. When I was a young kid, I went down the street and I cussed, but I didn't know that wasn't an acceptable behavior because my parents cussed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that family considered that white trash behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Because in my family, drinking and cussing was an acceptable form of behavior.
Like from your view as the child looking at it, right? It was like, oh, that is what quote love is.
Yeah.
Belonging, that is what belonging is.
Exactly.
Born into a family of thieves, that is what belonging is.
Exactly.
And we love as a society to blame that, judge that. And that's sad.
Yeah.
That does no good.
Isolate the family or the individual, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do any good for anybody. There's no understanding there. What it does is it separates people.
Yes. Bingo, bingo, bingo.
There's no unconditional love for everybody and no understanding for everybody. And that's hard. And it creates division.
Yes. And that's what's not easy, is to remove those divisions that are already there.
Yep.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. And then after I kind of got to looking at Chris's program and Hellinger's stuff, and I got to doing some more research into my family, I realized how much was really there. I realized how many generations we had alcoholics, people who overdosed, people who went very religious. Just different things that were very predictable according to adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families.
And you can see the wounding so clearly. Like I went to my brother's last weekend, and I could see he had the wounding and no conflict, and I was keeping the peace, and I could just see it so clearly. You know, my family now, I can just see it. So like, whoa, you know.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Had this realization that once upon a time that was normal for me. That was the normal that I learned, right?
And then when you get out of your family circle and you start getting in the world, you're not going to find a fit for you that is healthy.
Said another way is, oh, what are you drawn to? Is you're drawn to where you would belong, which is what you're, as a child, your version of what belonging meant.
Yeah.
So then what happens is you join up with those crowds of people. It's like, oh. And that is how that pattern, that cycle keeps going.
Then when you run into somebody who starts realizing that that's not safe or healthy, and they want to get out of that situation, the person that they want to get away from that's creating an unhealthy and an unsafe environment, they start freaking out and they start realizing that they're not doing something right, and then it can get worse.
It usually does, yeah. Because
Yeah.
when we're about to lose something, if we think about we're losing, let's call control. If you're a narcissist, losing control, right? You're going to respond in a way that you have in the past to keep it together. Again, a pattern. Again, it just reflects back to the patterns, and this work. And I think that's what's so difficult about this work, is because it gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah. When I was married,
people have a really hard time because our general thinking is that, oh, if I do something different, it's automatically going to be better.
Oh no, when I was married,
Escalate
to my husband, and I started going to church because I wanted to change, it got worse, and I didn't understand. I got better, and it got worse for me and my kids. And I didn't understand.
Yeah.
In order for him to be in charge, he had to keep the family upset.
And it's not like he gets joy from that.
No, he got joy from it. Trust me. He took pleasure in it.
Would you here just work with me for the moment? It's like, but was that a pattern, or was that real joy?
I think it was both. It depended on his mood, because I've actually had discussions with him about that, and he knew what he was doing, and he did it on purpose. So I think sometimes he took pleasure in it, and I think sometimes it was a pattern. And I think when he knew he was hurting somebody, he took pleasure in it.
Yeah.
Some people are also sadists. Because I think his dad was that way. And neither of his parents would take responsibility for the way the kids were. They blamed the other parent.
I believe that all human would choose light and joy and peace over anything else if they knew they could.
I would hope so.
Yeah. And I mean, not everyone, I got that, but I really do. I really think way down deep there is that version of humanity. Otherwise, why are we here? Yeah.
Hi, Ali.
Hi, Allie.
Hi,
Jinxian.
Allie.
Good morning, good morning, good morning to you.
Good evening to you. Oh, I love that. Listen to that charge. You know, I get so much pleasure most of the time out of people's first words.
Oh, I love that.
It's like the pattern, right? It's like, oh, it's like you can get a sense of where they're coming from, right? What's in their immediate background is right from those first couple of words.
That
Yep.
first charge.
Yeah, we're just Ian, you want to catch Ali up on what we're discussing and what you're learning or taking or would love to give to her.
Fill me in, Ian,
Yeah.
fill me in.
If you don't want to, that's cool too, man.
I think personally, just for me, I had a bit of a wobble the other day when we were talking, but I'm okay now. I was having a wobble day, but I'm all good now. I think for me personally, I've just been learning to love myself regardless of my appearance. I started a new drug called metforleptin. I was being guided to start it. Basically, the condition I have is called lipodystrophy, and it causes fat wasting. So my body doesn't have fat tissue. And leptin is a hormone produced by the fat cells, and it regulates your appetite, it regulates hormonal imbalances, it regulates diabetic control. It's a really important hormone. Apparently, it's a really important hormone. And my levels were like really low. So I started it because I asked my higher self when I got a yes, start it. And I have been feeling better. I've gone to that other non-diabetic. My blood sugar's gone it's like I haven't got diabetes anymore. I've got more energy because it regulates your energy as well, energy balance. So I feel like I've got more energy. My blood sugar's gone really good. I'm feeling the benefits of it, but a side effect is weight loss. So I have been losing more weight. I was about 50 kilograms. Now I'm about 43 kilograms. And I have lost more weight on my face. I've lost weight all over. In the past, it would have bothered me because my appearance is changing. But now it's like, I'm not really bothered. I love myself with the fat or without fat. It's not bothering me anymore like it would have in the past. And I'm more concerned about feeling better inwardly than what I look like externally. So it's just not bothering me anymore. It's like, oh, well, I've lost some weight on my face. Oh, well, who gives a shit, you know? So yeah, just loving myself regardless. I know patterns that would have been like, oh, I'm not losing weight on my face. Now on there, I still love myself. So yeah.
Thanks, Ian. How's the crack in the heart been the last couple of days?
Yeah, it's been better. I felt lighter. I've had a bit of sadness come up, but I've just been observing it and not falling into it because I can't just ignore it because that's spiritual bypass and I need to feel it. But I've been observing it and not falling into it. Like, I'm so sad. I've just been observing it and sitting there and thinking, sadness is coming up. Okay, and just observing it and not letting it take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what it's like that sadness, any time, there's the emotion, there's always something that it's attached to. And like, as I heard you say, you're observing the emotion, and then it's like a wonder, like a curiosity into what's causing it, right? what is that story that's running there that's bringing it forward? And being observant of that allows you to see what it is. And then it's like, oh, what I notice, it's like just a pattern. Typically it's just a pattern that we can put something new in its place.
Yeah, I just think it's just, pattern, old stuff coming up, you know.
Yep. Yep, which is what we've been working this morning, just aware of sharing with each other around like our family patterns. Mona was celebrating with her father, 83 this year, a narcissist, a pattern of narcissism, and sharing with how much credit he is giving his children. And it's like that relationship is healing. It's healing, and I am so proud of Mona. Yeah. So she was sharing that with us, and it's so glad to be with you today, Mona. And so, Ali, that's kind of where we're at. Well, one of the themes of it today is timeout. Timeout, yeah, kind of a spillover from yesterday. Timeout. Timeout to do what? To pull out and be a higher observer. To notice, like, where are my charges? Where am I being triggered? Is it my resistance? Is it your resistance? Or, as Craig said today, is it the collective's resistance?
Oh,
And that's where time out. Do I want to continue in this charge, or do I want to put a new one in there? And any of you want to elaborate, please, I invite you to. Or Ali, feedback what you heard.
I think I would like to add something. Like, I think I've been feeling sadness because I've actually been seeing how dysfunctional I used to be, and I've been seeing my own dysfunction. So, yeah, I've just been feeling sadness around it. But then I see it's a family thing. I see it in my brother. I see it in both all my siblings. So it's just a family thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard you say
and
that
what
you're missing the dysfunction. You're just
Yeah.
you're missing that feeling of dysfunction. That's a really excellent observation to have.
Mhm.
And I know, like in this work, part of the sadness is we see how easy it, no, sorry, easy. I say easy, but really it's to see how easy it really is to break the pattern, and yet we'll choose that suffering rather than stepping into something new. That's sad. It is sadness to see like what is possible just when we're willing to put down that guard, right? Just to put it down a little bit and look at something different, because it is that simple just to choose something different. But in the heat of the energy, in the momentum of the energy, it is so difficult to let go of the familiar, as Craig said, right? Let go of that familiar, Ian, that familiar pattern, that safe pattern, and choose something that's different. That's scary as hell.
That's what I've been doing. I feel it's like I've learned personally my two woundings are the not belonging and the unworthy. And like in the past, I generally felt like I was helping people, like I would help people and neglect myself. And I generally thought it's because I want to help people. But now I've seen it's because, I've learned about the unworthy stuff and it's like, wow, I didn't do it actually to help people, I did it for my, the pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, Those, it's like we give it out thinking that that's going to fill us up. And Mona, like, it's like, then there's those around us that their pattern is to take it. And that's how we line up. And that's where we learn to belong, is those that are giving their energy out and those that will take it. And it's like, that's how they've learned to belong.
But I wasn't doing it for the reasons I thought I was. Now I've learned this work. Like, wow.
We,
Yeah.
none of us do, right? Until that awareness. Yeah.
So here's what came
The
to me
power
too,
of the
kind of
timeout.
another layer. Another layer on this was actually making a choice based on an analysis of some kind that may or may not be accurate. So it's like we look at something, we look at it, that we have a choice. We're scared to make a choice. We're scared to choose something that's different because we have no context with which to analyze it. So we get trapped in our own, we get trapped in our own analysis of the situation that isn't necessarily true. And end up choosing the familiar, even though we know it's killing us.
Well, yeah, like, know that it's killing us is probably a little hard on it, but until we're aware that it is killing us. Yeah. The other word I'll call it, Craig, rather than killing us, is I'll call it our reality.
Yeah.
And so Mona, because you were there and present, are you at a space where you can work with me, like talk?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, wonderful. I was remember day 3 when we first started these back in November. I don't know if you do. I remember it was our first day of chaos in this session.
Yeah. Oh my. It was like the sessions were trying to feel our way around and settle into our own pattern of how to sort through this and settle into a rhythm of how to do these and feel comfortable, whether we listen on the other side or we get involved in the sessions themselves. It was chaos, but it was a fun chaos.
Tell me more about fun chaos. Now, it wasn't fun in the moment.
No, but because everybody was trying to kind of find their place, what they could offer to and what they could take away from. And everybody wanted to be a part of, and everybody wanted to be able to take something of value away from. And I still think that sometimes the little kid wants to jump up and say, hey, what about me? I need to be heard. And everybody's little kid wanted to jump up and say, hey, what about me? I need to be heard. And I think that's where the not fun part came in. Because it seemed like everybody wanted to be heard at the same time. And we get impatient sometimes and everybody wants to be heard at once because everybody's so excited. That's where the chaos comes in. And then, yeah, it's a little fun and can be a little stressful. But I think if you're aware of that ahead of time, you can navigate it and not be so stressed out.
And even like it's like still in the experience, it's like only afterwards can we see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, still happens to me with it. It's like I don't know what to do with it in the moment. No idea.
No, but the thing is, even if you don't know what to do with it in the moment, you realize you don't know what to do with it in the moment, and you have learned not to react to it. You have walked away and you've gone, you've thought about it, and you've come to the table next time and you've had an opportunity to go, what should I do with something like that? How can I respond better to something like that? How can I make this more comfortable for me and the rest of us in something like that? How can I make that more open to somebody, to something like that? How can I make the situation comfortable, open? Yeah. When you walk away from it, you have an opportunity to think about it in a peaceful situation. Your genius kicks in like you have no idea. And you give yourself several opportunities, several options to choose from. And you bring them to the table. And not just in our group either. In other situations, in your professional life as well. So you bring the skill set you use here, you use in other places as well.
So well said. Thank you, Mona. Oh. And Allie was here yesterday. Yes.
Allison, I think, has a migraine today.
Yeah, I think so too. But Allie was there. Yesterday was a free falling. And Allie, like with what you heard from Mona, anything or like, is there anything you'd like to add, or anyone else? We're just kind of recapping yesterday. Yesterday was a version of that.
Y'all are so quiet.
I'm just thinking about last session and then trying to tie it into So tonight's session.
Talk to me about free falling, because I wasn't here and I've been sick for like a week.
I don't remember talking about free falling last night. I came on late after the session, though. Was that something that was discussed before I came on? Craig?
It was, yeah, what we're talking about was kind of the whole session and where it went.
Because we were talking about the soul being trapped.
Yeah.
And what that meant to us. And at first we had that, well, I had that trigger. But then after the session and we actually unpacked the session and unpacked it, it was actually really exciting to know that our souls are here to express themselves, and it's our ego mind and our limiting beliefs that stop that from happening. And that's
right.
That's what I took from the session yesterday.
Or overtake the expression of our heart.
Yes.
No, that's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it too.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Once we realize that we have these limiting beliefs, do we challenge those beliefs? Do we look for ways to release those limiting beliefs?
We have to make peace with them, I guess, so that we can release that energy, that charge that's attached to them. Which isn't easy to do.
No, because we've been stuck. Well, we've had those limiting beliefs for a long time.
Very long time.
And it's not just a belief. It's a chemical attachment too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a chemical reaction. Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have these reactions and we don't even realize it. You know, certain words that we're using, certain words, and we don't even realize that we're triggering these chemicals in our bodies by using these words. That's how we have to be conscious of the words that we use and what we say and the way that we say them, because every cell in our body is listening and responding to everything. It causes the vibration in the body, which in turn causes the disease if we're not careful about what our dominant thoughts are thinking about.
Yeah. And see, at the time we were talking about limitation, but we weren't talking about limiting beliefs.
Yeah. And it all ties in together.
About, eventually it does. Yeah, eventually it does. Because the thing is, to start with, we're an eternal unlimited soul that gets ensconced in a physical body and becomes individual on top of that, which is very unnatural for an eternal soul to be. Like it's an unnatural place for a soul to exist. And so there's this dense energy in the environment. There's a physical body that you're kind of, and I'll use this term again because it came up, you're kind of trapped in. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to create a belief around that, around your limitedness. Because that's what's readily apparent in your experience, is that all of a sudden I'm not I'm not a free spirit anymore. I'm confined to this body.
It's kind of like being born, isn't it? You're all comfortable and cozy in the womb and you have everything and you get born and
Yes.
you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, exactly. You're on your own and you're helpless on top of it.
Yeah. And you have to depend on somebody else. And if those people don't have those skills, you're just SOL. I'm sorry.
Well, right.
Oh,
But yeah. And so you adapt and you survive and you do all those things. Like, how in the heck do we know how to do that?
yeah.
Survive when we're not being nurtured in the ways that we need to be. How do we learn how to do that? Where does that come from?
Oh, man.
We all might start off at 100% when we're born, but that doesn't last very long, does it?
No.
The doctor whacks you sideways to start with, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like
Oh,
the
and
dream
then
is
you get,
dashed. The dream is dashed right away.
yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what family you get born into. Every family has some kind of junk. I don't care what family you are. You just got to figure out how to figure out what the junk is and decide and make a choice
Well, and
that you
cope with
don't
it.
cope with it or decide that you don't want that junk. It's like when I was
Be the
married, I started going to church and I changed. And the more that I changed, it became a better and healthier person for myself. The meaner my husband got. And he was doing it on purpose because the more I changed and became a better person for myself, the more he couldn't control me by upsetting me on purpose. Because he would do that. He would gaslight me.
Yeah.
And he couldn't control the situation anymore. So then I was moving out of his realm of control.
Stretching
that.
that rubber band,
Yeah.
between the two structures, right? Separating them.
Yeah.
More tension, and then tension will always resolve.
Yeah.
Just in different ways.
Yeah.
Always in different ways.
Yeah.
I think that's always, allowing it, because the tension will always find its equilibrium. And it's different for everyone. And I think that's the importance of the timeout. The zoom out of it is majority of our tension is around where we've made it, taken it personal.
Yeah.
Either us, someone else, or the collective. And the practice, like I heard like many times, the theme of it is the detachment of that, to detach out of that tension by observing it. So Mona, I think you asked, like, how do you, like, you were spoken, like you shared about it all day today, like how to let go of this tension. It's one, to allow it. Ian, you spoke to it too. It's to allow it, accept it, and embrace it. I'm going to use that from Joe yesterday. Joe, it's like to allow it, accept it, and embrace it. Only
Yes.
through that is how that tension finds its best equilibrium path. And what we can be aware of is the tension. That would be the emotion, the feeling in, it's like sadness. And then, and another way, if maybe sometimes we can't get it in the feeling, we can see what are the edges, what's pulling on the rubber band, what's that fixed point. And it's usually a thought, right? Some sort of thought. It's a pattern. It's always a pattern. It has that end that stretched us. that has us experiencing that sadness or whatever that tension is. And if we know that tension's always associated to a pattern, another level, then it's like, what is that pattern? What is it what does that pattern want? Because it's always opposite of what we're going for. It's like narcissists. Yeah, it's like, what does that pattern want? Narcissists.
What does the pattern want to be fed?
Well, fed is different because I think we know how to feed it. Our pattern is to feed it. Thinking that's going to give us what we want, and it does, right? I mean, we've got conditioned that it gives us what we want. So that's why we feed it.
Wow.
But it never gives us the true outcome that we're looking for, which a narcissist one is control and belong. But the pattern of narcissism just pushes people away. But it attracts people that will give them what they need. Complex.
Wow.
So I think part of the awareness is, what am I feeding the pattern?
And they don't realize when they're feeding a narcissist that they're not getting anything in return. And they're just getting ate up.
Yep.
Yeah, just getting used up.
Yeah. And I don't think that they don't, and I don't think a narcissist understands that that's what they're doing. I think that when they do it, how do I explain this? I don't think a narcissist understands that they're using somebody up. I think that they behave the way they do because it keeps them safe. And I think that that's how they get their emotional needs met.
Yep. For sure.
And replace narcissism with Ian, like what Ian spoke. It's like unworthy. Like, just put unworthy in there too. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not belonging. Yeah. Put that in there. I'm not good enough. Put that in the place of narcissism. It's the label, it's the same structure, just different labels.
I don't think like mine was a narcissism. Mine was because narcissist takes, mine was given. So it was the opposite.
Yeah.
But it's still the same structure, isn't it? So
it is.
And I almost feel sorry for people like that because they don't understand. And there's an emptiness that never gets satisfied.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You get it. And that's what I had to realize, was that it won't fill the emptiness as much as I was conditioned to believe it would.
No, and you know what? Our social media, whether it's the TV or whether it's people on Facebook or other places that only show good things, that doesn't help either. Commercials don't help. Oh, if you have this car, you'll be this happy. If you have this house, you'll be this happy. That's not true. And the more they show good, the more that there's going on bad behind the scenes.
Oh, you bet.
So can we stop for a second and look at Mona's words? She said, they don't understand, which turned out to be a key word yesterday. The whole thing about understanding.
And I'll
Yeah.
go to
That's it.
that child, as she said earlier, also that child wanting to express itself. So I'll just include that too.
So what has made understanding so damn important?
Life or death.
But would understanding make any difference?
Mm-mm.
Well, we
Yeah, I
have to
think
have an
it would.
understanding around it. Yeah, we need to a certain extent to be able to cope with the environment that we're in. To not understand kind of leads stress and anxiety and of the unknown.
But the coping
I don't know.
mechanisms, do we develop our coping mechanisms because we understand? Or do we develop them because we don't?
That's a good question.
I
That
think
is a
it could be
very-
both ways
Yeah, me too.
because I think you have to make mistakes to understand.
Yeah,
And I think you can just learn and understand. It can be done both ways
yeah, totally.
because you
So
can't
again, why is
learn.
it so important to understand?
Well, from the awakened point of view or from the suffering point of view, Craig?
From either point of view. Why does understanding keep being the priority?
Well, it doesn't at some point, because sometimes you have to just have faith and the trust in the knowing. Sometimes it comes down to that.
And I think it matters because it sounds like, to me, it appears you're asking from a point of view why it matters. And you've broke through a point to say, like, understanding doesn't matter. I'm with you.
Yeah,
But that's from a point of view of like a rising above your pattern.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but what I'm asking is why does understanding end up taking primacy all the time? Why does it?
I don't know, Craig. I actually don't know. It does, but you're totally right.
Is that a collective wound?
Probably.
Whole thing about understanding. Like maybe it's that pipe dream that if I understood this, it wouldn't affect me the way it does.
Yeah. Well, we're always needing to learn. We're always learning and growing. It's part of the human experience is learning and growing. You learn more, you grow more. You learn more, you grow more. You take chances, you make mistakes. You learn more, you grow more. It's ever expanding, ever moving.
So then I'll pop this question out there. What does understanding have to do with learning?
And where does understanding exist? Like if we're looking at understanding, is it the past, the future, or sorry, the past, the future, or the present?
Fuck.
I think understanding involves all three. I also think
Yeah.
understanding involves maturity. Kind of like putting a 5-year-old in a car and turning on the car for them.
Yeah, well, they say that kids understand stuff when they're 7. Is it that once they hit 7, then an understanding builds a part of their brain builds that they have understanding? I'm sure I read that somewhere.
When the prefrontal cortex kicks in.
Yeah,
starts
it's like
doing
7.
its thing.
Yeah.
Before
so
that,
that's part of it.
you don't really understand anything.
Yeah.
That's right. So all of that mechanic is we're starting to put the words in place. Words. We're using words to separate out what it is. And that, yes, I believe is where we start to attach meanings to the words rather than just patterns.
and the charges to the words, the vibration.
Yep.
The actual vibration of the words.
Yeah. And Craig, we all know before 7, what is the right thing to do? Stay in school.
Yeah.
So where does the need for understanding come from? It's driven big by that. So there's different knowledge, right? Or understanding. It's like understanding to me exists in the past. Like it's an experience of it. And if
It's
that was a
past
pleasurable
reference.
experience, if that was a pleasurable experience, I want to do it again. And if it was not so pleasurable, I'm going to avoid it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the mechanic of life. So how we understand it matters by the words and the charges associated with it.
So this is why we need to understand.
So is understanding a self-consciousness construct, or is it a superconscious construct?
I would say superconscious.
Well, both. It's like depends on which one's leading the show, which one's running the game, which is a pattern again.
Yeah.
The other thing that shows up for me around understanding is we talk about 5 people can see the same accident and all 5 people can have a different view of it. The word biscuit means 2 or 3 different things in 2 or 3 different languages or in 2 or 3 different countries. So it's easy for somebody to make a mistake if you've got 2 or 3 different views of the same word.
Yeah.
So I think understanding is important. For instance, biscuit in England is different than it is in America.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. A biscuit in England is a cookie, I think. And in America, you put butter on it.
Really?
Yeah. It's a breakfast thing.
Cool.
Yeah, but biscuit is a cookie. It's like cookies. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think understanding is kind of important because people are weird. When they get offended, they develop negative energy when they get offended. And they hang on to the negative energy way longer than they hang on to the positive energy.
Yeah. Why is that?
Bingo.
Why is
Bingo.
that?
I don't know.
Well, maybe a little insight is we get 500 no's to 5 yeses every day as a child.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That was a study that was done in the 80s.
It's probably physiological then.
Could
God,
be.
I'm going to need to be more conscious of what I'm saying to my little man. God.
You're right. It has a different
Exactly.
understanding. There's a different understanding
God
then.
love him.
And if we don't recognize it or don't realize it or not aware of it,
Morning.
what are we doing subconsciously?
Yeah, exactly.
Subconsciously, I
does that make
say
any sense?
99.9% of the time.
And we're
Yeah.
not
How
even
much of our
aware of it.
parenting is subconscious, right?
Yeah. Mom, it was good enough for me, or it was good enough for my mom. My mom and dad taught me that way, and it's good enough for you. Okay, that's 3 generations right there.
Right. And none of us ever
Boom,
read
boom,
the
boom.
manual
It
either.
didn't hurt my mom and dad. No.
Oh, I didn't get the manual. I'm sorry. Which manual?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Where's that knowledge? Where's that knowledge? I didn't get it. Oh my God, I'm fear of missing out now.
Yeah. So it's all repatterning.
And I think a big part of it, right? The big part of it is we use the words right, wrong, fail, success, right? All of that. I mean, that's baked right into knowledge as well. Baked
And
into
it's
the
baked into
structure of it.
understanding too.
Yep. Yep.
See, for me, understanding has become a handicap.
Yes. And from it causes suffering. That's what I asked. Is it like, is it
causes
from suffering or
and
not?
And it can completely wipe out, I don't know.
It does. It completely wipes out, I don't know. I mean, just think of our children going into school today and them saying, like, if every student came to school and said, I don't know, what the hell is that system going to do?
They'll break out in hives.
What are we doing wrong?
They're definitely going to have some migraines, huh, Mona?
Good morning.
Yet that's the structure that's needed.
What, the I don't know structure?
Yeah.
Yeah, desperately.
Otherwise, the genius can't express itself in the trap of knowledge that we've put ourselves in.
Yes.
Now, it didn't start out that way, of course not. Meaning start out like that pattern of society started at some point. I don't know when, some generations ago, right? Where the knowledge, see, we get really bright in our evolution and we think that we can always like do something better. And so that's where the knowledge, and we see it in technology, right? Technology is a version of knowledge.
Yes.
And so we can give our power, whenever we started giving our power away, is this result of it.
See, and collectively underneath it all, we believe that technology is the answer to everything.
Many people do, right?
Okay, that's true. Many people do. Problem with that belief is people don't realize that technology is not the answer. It's the way people use it. For some reason, people got this idea that technology is the answer to everything. And technology is just a tool. And if people misuse it, it's not very good. Like AI. Oh, that's the next big answer. And
Right,
it will
right,
wipe away
right.
jobs.
Yep.
But it's the user of the technology.
The user in a problem-solving structure is still going to, no matter what they use, will always be in a problem-solving structure.
Structure, exactly.
It's all structure.
And
And
the person, it's a human being behind that structure.
Yeah.
And they make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not flawless.
It's crazy how AI can make mistakes and we can forgive that, yet we can't forgive our own mistakes.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, it's just learning. AI is just learning.
Yeah. But we're not. Pardon?
We're perfect. Okay.
Well, it's supposed to be, right? Or we're supposed to know better, or we're supposed to whatever. Like, come on. I mean, there's like nobody sent me a note with "that's your purpose in life." Now there is, right? There's a feeling, there's a draw towards it.
Right.
But
So
no
when
manual.
we run across, so in school, when we run across kids who can't understand, we put them in a special class because they can't conform, or they can't, they're abnormal or something. It's so
good, what it bring, like there's many different categories of learning, and it's crazy that our system has settled on informational learning.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's so many different ways to learn, yet we only use one form of that in our educational system here in the United States, as let me give you the information because you can find the answers in it.
Right.
So what do we end up doing is we give our power to the information
Correct.
And it may not be
rather
correct.
than what really matters is what the hell do we do with the information? That's been lost.
Completely.
And that's
Hey, guys,
understanding.
I need to go. I have a class to go to.
Bye, Mona. So
I
glad
have
you were
loved-
here.
Yeah, Mona.
I have loved spending this morning with you. I miss you guys, and I'm going to make it a point to come more often.
Good. We've been
You
missing
Mona,
you,
where
Mona.
are you from? Where's your accent from? Because I absolutely love it. It's so different to every other American accent.
It's actually a Southern accent with a combination of Midwestern.
Right. I love it.
Thank you. And
Have
you
a great
guys have
day.
really grown and matured, and you're freaking amazing.
Have a
And
great
I've
day.
really enjoyed this morning like you have no idea. Thank you for letting me come, Jesse. And you guys have really grown.
Love you, Mona.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Mona.
Bye, Mona.
Bye.
Bye, Ian.
Well, isn't that the best compliment you could ever get?
Yeah, no kidding. Whoa. I'm kind of
We
reeling.
just can't see it. We can't see it
No.
in our day to day.
Yeah. You don't see it when you're here every day.
No.
Cool.
Guys, I'm going to shoot off as well. It's getting late and I've got a big day ahead of me tomorrow, but it's been a pleasure.
A big
So
hug,
glad
Ali.
you're here.
Have a great
Thanks
day.
for coming. Bye.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to shoot off too, but thank you very much, love.
Much love, Ian.
See you
Thanks,
next
man.
time.
All right,
Thanks,
next
Ian.
time.
Big love, Ian.
Yeah.
So time out.
Yeah. Isn't it just fascinating how that all dovetailed today?
Yes, it always is.
Yeah.
And didn't go what we thought. Didn't go the way we wanted it to.
Well, yeah, it certainly didn't go the way I expected it would. So, yeah.
Or as we had planned out just minutes before Mona showed up.
Right.
But then
But
it's like,
that's the title you put on this video, isn't it? Was it Timeout?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then how that showed up was so amazing.
And I wanted to weave in that third day, that 3 days in where we had the chaos, and Mona was on it, and Net was on it.
Yeah.
242 days ago.
Something really magical about attunement,
Yeah.
Because both of them were attuned before they ever got here. Like it was like,
Yeah.
wow.
And
How
both of them,
how do you engineer this stuff?
you don't.
You
And
don't.
nor do we try to make sense of it, but it's been months since, Annette and Mona have been here, even, alone, yet along
Yeah.
on the same
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's like, remember what I said earlier, it's like what really matters if they come back.
Yes. Yeah. And what amazing contributions, both of them.
And just, you know, I sit with when we're not here, what we miss out on.
Yeah.
You know, and only like you and I, it's like, you know, here. The point is not showing up every day. That doesn't matter. Like it matters for me of what I would miss out on.
Yeah. Yeah, it does for me too.
And I tie it to, you know, like Allie's word faith, you know, she's been sitting in faith, and it's like, yeah, faith of like, I was just amazed where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows where faith goes? Wow.
But it seems to work. And what we do here seems to work.
Yeah.
How, why duplicate it? It's like, that's what we're learning.
Yeah. You know, like I told Annette too, I said we're in a preconception space here, like a very very conceptual space where um, where something is being developed that is full of potential and full of promise.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it's all and it's all still, you know, it's manifested, but only conceptually so far, which is, you know, that's amazing to me too. I mean, our tendency is to make it physical as quickly as possible, you know. And I don't know that this is ready to be physical yet.
Yeah, I don't know what physical, you mean physical with it.
Into
but
physical form, okay, it's in a conceptual form right now.
Mhm.
That it's not in a physical form yet. It's kind of like, you know, it's in gestation. It's being, you know, it's being formed in a womb.
Mhm.
And eventually it's gonna be born and become physical, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
Yep.
You know, I've basically organized my life around these morning sessions.
Hmm.
I mean, it's that important to me.
Mhm.
It's that central to my life and my being to do this every day.
It's what I find, like, it's that morning routines that set the stage, right? They set the intention. They set the intention.
Yeah, yeah. And one side of me can't believe I'm doing this because I know myself to be kind of a night person, a person who contemplates in the dark generally. So getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning was something that was completely out of my realm of possibility until we started doing this.
Mhm.
When I say I've organized my life around this, it's that's quite an amazing achievement, actually.
Well, think of that as a timeout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Timeout on, and here's what I'll use it, and not for you. I'm not like saying it as that, but what some people can use that as a excuse, in a pattern to say, oh, that's not for me. Fine.
Yeah.
Right? That's a choice.
Yeah.
But when we say that, then we're not open to the potential that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Open to potential.
And still, like and like even in not using, like, to remove that layer of it at the even I see even further at the core, at the behind it is, no, I do this alone.
Yeah.
And I think, that's where we came from, is like thinking, that's where my concept of meditation was, oh, I do this alone, this is just meditation on steroids. This is
Yeah.
meditating through life. It was said yesterday, this is how we meditate during, in, and through life events.
Yes.
Holy, isn't that what we do meditations for?
Well, yeah, I would kind of think so.
To live a better life?
It's interesting
And
too that Annette asked me that question directly. She says, "Are you doing this preconception? Are you doing that on your own, or are you doing it with other people?" And I said, "No. Up until quite recently, I was always doing it on my own.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing it with people. Now I'm doing it in group, in team, in partnership. Yeah.
We're doing it together so that we can lead it.
Yeah.
Lead others into it, because you can see how easy it is to get off the rails.
Oh yeah. 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 Well, exactly. And even after 240 some days, it's happened.
It happens to the best of us, if we want to call ourselves the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just if time or experience matters.
Yeah. Practicing.
All it is practicing.
Like Annette said about some of those rules, is that they put them in the exam every year, and in 18 years she's only run into that situation one time, but it was on the exam, so she knew how to, she knew how to handle it when it came up. So
Yep.
But it took 18 years of practice to actually get there and find that situation, right?
Yep.
But she was ready.
Yep. And that what a like, that's life, right? To
Yeah.
dance with it in the moment.
Yeah. When I realized that the past 9 months for me especially have been about practice and preparation and readiness, because there's things coming. I just sense that there's things coming that we need to be ready for, that we need to be prepared for. And
Yes.
don't really know what those are yet.
No, and it's not worth spending any resources or effort trying to worry what they're going to be.
Right, exactly. And that's where the trust and the faith comes in.
That's right.
Wow. Wow.
Well, thanks, Craig. What a great morning.
Mm. Yeah, thank you, Jesse. This is wow. Yep. It's unbelievable again. I love you, man. Keep the faith.
Mm.
That's
Oh,
what came
yeah.
up for me just now. Keep the faith, which is funny.
Keep the faith. Yeah,
That's
it is.
hilarious. But so
It's like, oh,
appropriate.
damn it. What's coming that we have to get, what's coming that we have to like remember that.
Yeah. 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 Yep. Just keep
Or
going.
maybe we've already gone through it, right? It's end of the day. It's like either one. It's one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Thanks, Craig. Love you too.
Okay. Have a great day and enjoy Montana, man.
Yeah, it's
I'm,
Troy's 15th birthday today. So
oh, is it? Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh wow. And all
First
the
time
cousins are
we've-
there. Yippity
Yeah,
doo dah.
first time he's ever been able to celebrate with both sides.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fortunate for that. So,
Okay, give him an extra hug for me today.
all right, man, I will.
Okay.
All right.